Okay, my little friend, it's a whole new year. We got a whole new show. Let's get this party started. Shake up the room, Rumble! Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. I want to welcome y'all to 2023, and we're hoping that this year will be a better year than years past. We're going to kick things off this time around with a studio month. I say studio month because we're going to mix it up. We're going to have some Studio and Studio 86 figures. And we're going to kick it off with one that was shown off a few weeks back. This is Studio 86 Rumble. And of course, this is based on his appearance from the 1980s cartoon. And as he's a studio figure, it's based more on his appearance from the 1986 animated film. So we now finally have one that looks like how he was presented in the cartoon. As you can see, we even get a nice little backdrop for his cartoon appearance. This, of course, is the communications dish that Rumble and his allies were sent to interfere with in the hopes that it would prevent the Autobots from summoning reinforcements. Now, since Hasbro is now using a no plastic policy, which, it's environmentally friendly and all that, it unfortunately means that the backdrop also has to hold all of his accessories, since these little core class figures don't have a lot of packaging. So it's kind of all these little grooves in it hold his extra pieces. Kind of detrimental to the appearance, but oh well. Let's get Rumble up close here so you can get a good look at him. As you can see, he's done up in the blue and purple colors that he was famously shown in the cartoon. Which, of course, is a radical change from his Generation 1 toy appearance. Here is his toy from the Generation 1 era. This figure was released back in 1984. It was one of the first of the original Transformers to be released. And probably for a good portion of you that are my age, he was probably among one of your first, since he was one of the lower cost toys. Rumble would be sold in a 2-pack with Ravage. There have been numerous theories thrown out over the years as to why the colors were changed in the cartoon, as the red cassette figure here would be later brought in as Frenzy, whereas Rumble was colored like Frenzy in the cartoon. It has long been a debate amongst the fans as to which way they should call them. But it's kind of, once the toy's in your home, you can call it anything you want. But if you're looking for them specifically from various dealers, you'd better use the terminology that the actual toy was sold by, so that you get the right figure. Now, at any rate here, let's take a look at Rumble's accessories. And we will start with his guns. They're done up to be in the same shape as the Generation 1's guns were. But of course, they're considerably smaller, so they don't connect by these fins anymore. They connect by a post, which is, of course, ties into a hole on his arm. Of course, Rumble has one that has the wing going the one way, and a second one with the wing going in the opposite direction. But probably the best thing that he came with is Rumble comes with a pair of pile drivers. Since it was shown in the cartoon that he could create earthquakes by forming his arms into these pile drivers and slamming them into the ground. Now, unfortunately, there's no springiness or anything to them. They are just a solid piece of plastic. So that's unfortunate, but it also means it's less things to wear down. To get Rumble ready to use his pile drivers, we stretch his arms out to the sides like that. You will turn them so that the ball joint is facing us. And then you will fold his hands inwards. And then you can attach the pile drivers onto his arms. The instructions also recommend that you go ahead and mount his guns onto his back, which is probably a good idea. Since they are small, they will get lost very easily. And then you just bend him at the hip and adjust his arms at the shoulders. And maybe at the knees as well. And then there you have it. Rumble's ready to pound the ground and get the earth shaken. Alright, now that we've taken all of Rumble's accessories off, let's take a look at his articulation. And he's got some pretty good articulation for a little core class guy. His head can be turned from left to right. And it does rock a bit, so it's not quite on a ball joint, but it will rock up and down. His arm can be raised out about so far, and it does rotate at the shoulder all the way. Unfortunately, Rumble has no elbow articulation, nor does he have a swivel at his biceps, so he does not possess G.I. Joe battle grip. Rumble cannot be twisted at his hips, but you can spread his legs apart into a full splits. There is no thigh cut on Rumble. You can raise his leg at the hip 90 degrees, and you can bend his leg at the knee 90 degrees. And that's really about all that you can do to articulate Rumble. Now, to transform him, that's a very simple process as well. To transform him, first thing we do is we turn his head all the way around so it's facing his back. Then you'll come back here and we'll fold his head down so that it goes inside his back. Next, you're going to take his arms and you will fold them up at the shoulder. So the shoulder goes on top of his head. We'll kind of keep his arms angled like so. Because we are going to fold his fists inside his forearms like so. Now, while Rumble doesn't have a thigh cut, his legs do turn at the knee. So we're going to turn his legs like so that his feet point outwards. Then now you'll have him do a bent knee split like so. And then work them up so that they touch where his shoulders would be. Now once you've done that, then you can bring his arms down and adjust them accordingly. As you can see, there's a couple of little posts here next to his knee. They should line up with these little holes right there in his forearms. Once you got those in, you can fold up his feet. And there you have it. Rumble has transformed into an audio cassette tape. This was how we got our music back in the 1980s, folks. For those of you who weren't fortunate enough to be around with us. And of course, this is how his Generation 1 version looked in his cassette form. And of course, the big gimmick with the cassette figures was that they could fit into Soundwave and or Blaster. Now, we demonstrated a few weeks back that Rumble could fit in Legacy Soundwave, so that currently available Soundwave will carry Rumble. And of course, if you don't have him, that means he will also fit in the Siege versions of Soundwave or Sound Blaster, because they're both based on the same toy. But I figure this time around we'll try another one. This is Studio Soundwave. This is the one from Bumblebee. And we already demonstrated him with Core Class Ravage. They both share the same video. Somewhere up here in the corner, I'm sure there's been a link for this video. In case you were wondering why we linked to that one, well, now you know. At any rate, let's give this one a try. Let's see, will he fit in this one? Unfortunately, no. Rumble will not fit in this version of Soundwave. So, unfortunately, if you want a Soundwave for him to be in, it's going to have to be Legacy Soundwave, unless you happen to have one of those previously mentioned Siege toys. Okay, I'm putting back in the pile driver mode there, simply for fun. But then again, I guess many of the fans will probably display him like this. At any rate, we get down to my thoughts. I'm glad they finally decided to put out a cartoon-accurate version of Rumble, as I'm sure a lot of the fandom will be excited to have this as well. Rumble has always been a classic character, even though all he is nothing more than a Decepticon punk. But it still gives us hope that in the coming years that we will get a Studio 86 version of Soundwave. I mean, after all, during the events of Transformers the movie, all 5 of the Decepticon cassettes that were available at that time, well, I should really say 6, but let's face it, Buzzsaw didn't make any appearance in the movie, so I don't see him getting a toy made, but I could be mistaken. But it would be nice to see the others get their due and get made as well. So hopefully that will be something that's coming in the horizon. But at any rate, it is nice that we do get an accurate Rumble, and we do get the pile drivers as well, because that's going to be the big selling point. It'd have been nice if they probably had a little springy action, but since this is meant more as a display piece than a toy, I can live without that. And at any rate, that's my review of the Studio 86 version of Rumble. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I do ask that if you like the content that we show here on this channel, please do remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.